Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up doing yoga in a sleazy truck stop in the middle of France. Believe me, I'm wondering the same thing. You see, it all started with the 75 Hard Challenge. You know, that intense program where you work out twice a day, guzzle a gallon of water, eat clean and basically turn yourself into some kind of ultra-disciplined superhero. It seemed like a good idea at the time. But here's the thing, I'm a drummer. My job is to count to 4. 75? That's not just a stretch, that's a full-on maths exam and way above my pay grade. I thought I had it all figured out. I'd finished the challenge before our trip to France, no sweat. But surprise, surprise, I miscounted. Not by a lot, just 3 days, but when you're on day 72 and you have 1,100 kilometres by van and boat to travel, I definitely wish I'd started 3 days earlier. And let me tell you, there's nothing quite like trying to do push-ups in a dirty ferry cabin or trying to squeeze in yoga next to diesel-guzzling truckers in their underpants. Well, I assume that was their underpants. By that stage, I'd stopped caring. Then add in a stressful engine malfunction in 38 degrees and you all have the makings of a fun and friction-free journey, right? But we're here and it's safe, and as much as I'd love to have done my last workout of 75 hard, which this is, as a blistering 21-minute 5k effort, it's 34 degrees and I've been driving since 8 AM, it's 6 or 7 PM now. I'm kind of a bit over it. Look where we are. This is where, in 2020, I stood here going, in 2021, I'm going to ride the equivalent of the Tour de France in kilometres. What an idiot. For every mile that the Tour rides, I will ride that kilometre. So, for example, if a stage is 121 miles, I'll ride 121 kilometres. Okay, on with the top tips. Now, I've learned a ton from this experience, but even if you don't want to do 75 hard, this video is still full of tips, tricks, information, ideas, motivation, and suggestions that tap into the rules of 75 hard and the physical and mental benefits that come with it. And I'll break them down into these topics: reading, water, food, workouts, daily photos, and you can skip any parts of these via the chapters in the timeline below. You're welcome. You know, I do read a lot. I'm really rather well read. Okay, audiobooks don't count, only physical or Kindle books do, and that is my first tip. Use a Kindle. It means you have it with you everywhere you go, on your phone, on the loo, wherever, and you can read it at night when the lights go out. It just reduces friction, and I am all about that for building good habits. Joking aside, I actually do read quite a lot, and I have quite a long non-fiction TBR list, so choosing it wasn't an issue, and these are the books I read in order. All brilliant books and all linked in the description below, and I'll review some of them in another video. However, I want to urge you to read one of them and read it first. On Father's Day, my youngest had selected a book for me that he thought that I'd like to read, and it turns out that my 12-year-old son chose a book that has probably had the biggest impact of any of these types of books has ever had on me. In fact,
you have never quoted so many things out of a book.
Nah. I'll try to paraphrase it, as I'll do a longer video about this book. Chris Van Tulleken is a medical doctor and a researcher who explores how these industrially produced ultra-processed foods, or UPF, have become a dominant part of our diets, leading to widespread issues like obesity, diabetes, mental health problems. Here are some of the main things I learned from the book. What UPFs are and how they dominate modern diets, the links between UPFs and various health crises, how the food industry manipulates, promotes and profits from UPFs, the broader effects of UPF production and consumption on society and the planet, and the need for policy changes and the shift towards whole foods. If I were to suggest an order to read these books, it would be this. Start with ultra-processed people because it will fuel the change for how you approach the food part of this challenge. The Comfort Crisis because it will frame the whole idea of challenge and the benefits of discomfort on your physical and mental health. The Art of Resilience, as this will make you laugh a lot, and it will also teach you stoic skills, the joy of challenges, and also inform your workouts as to how and why you do them. And finish with the Scarcity Brain, as this will give you a good worldview and perhaps outline how you come out of 75 hard a different person in a world that hasn't changed. It's the hero's journey according to Joseph Campbell. You know, when Frodo goes back to the Shire and he sees it all differently? Right, certainly been the case for me. Okay, bookworms. Let's talk about water. When you talk to somebody about 75 hard, out of all the rules, the one that seems to raise the biggest eyebrows is that of drinking water. First off, let's not make the same mistake I made. A US gallon is 3.7 litres, a UK gallon is 4.5 litres. That's quite a difference. As 75 hard as American, it took me a few days and quite a lot of trips to the toilet to work out that 3.7 litres of water a day is what I should be consuming. I lost track of how many people told me that drinking too much water can be poisonous and dangerous. And indeed they are right. Water intoxication, or hyponatremia, is when the kidneys can't process the amount of water that's being consumed. Now obviously that varies from person to person, and there's no set amount of water that becomes toxic. The recommendation is that you don't drink more than 1 litre per hour. Most adults are awake 16 hours a day, so I'll leave you to do the mathematics and work it out. But it only works out to be about 250ml glass of water every waking hour. Scaremongering out the way, let's look at what I learned from this process. When I used to drink, I'd go into a pub and I'd order 2 pints, because by the time I'd reach the table to sit, I'd already downed 1. I've always been a bit of a gulper, so when it comes to consuming 3.7 litres of water a day, this is not a good thing for the first 4 or 5 days. I spent more time having a wee than I did anything else, so I learnt to sip at the age of 47, like a toddler. This made all the difference. The fact of the matter is that sipping retains more fluids than gulping does, and it allows your body to process it and actually use what you're putting into your body as opposed to having to wee it straight out. I simply got a 1 litre bottle that had to be drunk by lunchtime. After that, it was pretty plain sailing, and let's face it, if you're doing 2 45-minute workouts every single day, if you're not having to replace the fluid that's lost during those workouts, then you're not working out hard enough. Watch this video I made about training and fluid loss. Being properly hydrated massively helped me in my training, but also cognitively, and my skin improved and it kept me away from wanting things like cans of drink and other stuff full of sugar. I also found that I wasn't so hungry. It seems people mistake being underhydrated for hunger. Top tips. Follow a diet. Geez, nice one. Andy Frisella opened up a can of worms with this one. What does follow a diet mean? If you ask 100 people this, you'll get 1,000 answers. So let's try and simplify it a little bit. The word diet simply means the food you habitually eat. So that doesn't work for this. Every single one of us already eats a diet. 75 hard is about self-improvement. So this must be about improving your diet. You might think it's about losing weight, and by that I mean excess fat and not muscle mass. You know how I feel about that by now, right? But that's actually a byproduct of an improved diet. So you need to improve your diet. How? Dr. Peter Attia is a very clever and very sensible man. So let's look at how he defines it. Then all you need to do is pick one and stick to it. Calorie restriction, or CR. You reduce the amount of calories that you consume every single day. There's a lot of research that suggests this doesn't work. There's also just as much research that suggests it does, but a lot of us do consume too much. Reducing your food intake by 500 or so calories seems to be the go-to approach. But if the remaining calories are all made up of very poor ultra-processed food, it is not gonna work. Time restriction, or TR. This is where you reduce the window of time that you actually eat within. It's usually known as intermittent fasting. It's pretty simple. By only eating lunch and dinner, you end up with a 16 to 18 hour fast and an 8 to 6 hour eating window. And this is what I chose to do, and it is super easy, but then I'm used to doing it. It did have its challenges when we were away or out for coffee, etc. But whatever, you just do it, don't you? Again, stuff your face with 5,000 calories of ultra processed non-food, well then, you're a grown up. Finally, dietary restriction, or DR. This is where you cut out certain foods. So perhaps you eat no chocolate, no crisps, no cheese or whatever for 75 days. Again, it's pretty simple. The more restrictive, the harder it will be. The less restrictive, the less impact you'll have. You're an adult. You make the choice. I'll say this though. I challenge you to read ultra-processed people and not make some dietary changes. And I'll bet there'll be ones that stick. For example, Bex and I can easily do a packet of biscuits with a cup of tea when working from home. Having read the book and seen how much stuff is put in them that isn't food, purely for profit, we started making our own. Our favourite is a peanut butter biscuit that takes around 12 minutes to make and has 3 basic ingredients. They taste better, and actually we eat fewer of them with our brew because it satisfies us, unlike UPF. The biggest gift I'm going to give you is via my mother-in-law. It's the Yucca app. It's a mobile app that helps you make better, healthier choices by scanning food and cosmetic barcodes. It rates the products on a scale from 0 to 100 based on their nutritional value, harmful additives, which is the important one, and overall health impact. Using a simple colour-coded system, green for good, orange for okay, and red for bad. If a product scores poorly, Yucca suggests healthier alternatives. The app is independent and offers unbiased recommendations with no ads or brand partnerships, and I use it a lot. You're welcome. Check this out, 3 packets of oven chips from Lidl. The first 2 we used to buy regularly. It started off badly with a 48 containing the very hazardous E450 diphosphate, only to be blown clean out of the water by a 9 out of 100 for these, with even more hazardous additives. But all is not lost. These scored 90 out of 100 and are unlikely to cause damage to the kidneys, cardiovascular disease or breast cancer, unlike the other 2. So that's nice. Like I said, I'll do a bigger video on the book and the app soon enough, but in essence, here are some basic guidelines for this part of the challenge. Eat less, eat better, be hungry, keep it simple. As for the cheat meals and alcohol, well, I gave up drinking before this, and other than tell you it's the most critical thing I've done for myself and my family, I don't know what else to tell you. You have to make that choice for yourself, but I'm happy to be your sponsor. Use the comments below. And I don't understand cheat meals. I think we can disregard it. If I was committed to 16/8 fasting and ate within those 16 hours, or said I was giving up chocolate and ate a kilo of peanut M&Ms, then surely that's a forfeit, right? Other than having incorrect opinions about water consumption, the next biggest barrier people seem to put up seems to be the 2 45 minutes that you have to do every day, one of which needs to be outside. The average UK adult of my age spends 3 to 4 hours a day doom scrolling. That's unproductive time on phones, laptops, watching Netflix, reading news sites, online shopping, responding to relentless messaging because you haven't turned the notifications off, and so on. At the end of the day, if you're looking for an excuse not to do 75 hard, then feel free to say you don't have time. But you do. If you don't believe me, go to your phone settings and turn every single notification off for a week and tell me what happens to your daily screen time. Thank me later. People drastically underestimate how much time they waste because things like this very platform are designed to keep you on it. So you might have to work hard and be a bit tough on yourself, but you probably do have the time. In fact, I know you do. And so do you. Here are some pointers. Think about the time of year you're going to do it. You have to do one outside every single day. Do you really want to start in December? And also be mindful of holidays and events that might get in the way. Only an idiot would miscount the days before traveling somewhere, right? Be creative. Have a Rolodex of options. Trail running, swimming, boxing, cycling, weights, and something for easy days like yoga, which I've become a big fan of. And have a workout in hand that doesn't use equipment or need a lot of space. Try new things. I've discovered calisthenics, rucking, and started using cable weights to expand the range of exercises I can do in the gym. I now literally do something I never thought I would. Arm day, chest day, back day, etc. These are all things in my life, and I've noticed a change in my body, but also around the house. Did 2 days of felling trees and 6 man loads of waste, and I was still full of energy, relishing the way my body felt at the end of it all. I've never been like this before. It's exciting, and I kind of want more of this. The workouts need to be separated, so you can't do a single 90-minute workout. But how far apart? Well, this isn't actually clear in the rules, but Ross Edgley's book makes the case for 3 hours apart or more due to what sports scientists call concurrent training. If you mix running with weights in the same session, the adaptation isn't as good as if you were to separate the 2 sessions by a minimum of 3 hours. So my day almost always fitted this routine. A zone 2 cardio session whilst fasted in the morning, say bike, run, ruck, whatever. Then more than 3 hours later, a weight session in the afternoon or evening, just before lunch or dinner, both of which would be quite protein heavy. Some of the second sessions were a challenge when the day didn't go to plan. On those days, you just have to rely on the Ovsian-Keener effect, or what you might call the Magnus-Magnuson effect.
I've started, so I'll finish.
Humans are more likely to finish a task if they start it. I've started, so I'll damn well finish. I didn't think much of this at the time, so I didn't really take it seriously. But I have noticed a change in my body, but it is visual only. I'm only really going to be prepared to make a proper judgment call on this in October when I have a DEXA scan and compare the pictures from a year ago. One thing that did cross my mind is these Instagram influencers, huge respect to however the hell it is you take your pictures. I was clueless. So think about your first picture carefully. Where and how you take the picture, the more consistent the framing and the lighting are, the more you'll notice a difference. Overall though, this one wasn't the most impactful for me, but I am aiming at October to see how things have changed properly, and you can expect pictures then. If I can do it, anyone can. Simple rules and consistency mean it's uncomplicated. The bottom line is that I actually wasn't sure if I could do this, but once I'd started, I had to finish. Here's the thing, you might not think you can, but you can. The truth is that perhaps, maybe, you just don't want to believe that you can. I have learned loads from reading, and that ended up being realised in my workouts and my eating. I was able to build a lot more good habits than I thought I would. In essence, every single rule impacts the other, and that's why the reading list is actually really, really important. Curate that carefully and let that inform your other rules. I have become smarter, fitter, stronger and healthier. Who could ask for more? It's been a 2.5 month boot camp for my brain and my body. The 75 Hard app that I found really helped me keep track of everything, and of course there's a link in the description below. And finally, I can't count above 4, but I can do yoga in a lay-by. And if you really can't do it, pick one of the rules and try and do that for 75 days. There's enough tips and tricks between this video and these others to be going along with. Let me know in the comments below your thoughts on 75 Hard, if you're going to do it or have done it, and let me know what it is that you have picked up from this video. Thank you so much for watching, you legends. Look after yourselves and those around you.